Yo,
Shop
Bacardi,
Talk. What's
Shop
up, my
Talk
brother?
FCB. What episode is this?
Episode 13, y'all.
We on
13.
episode
Damn, we
13,
made it to
yo.
13.
Yes, sir.
I'm here with the infamous, the one and only Michael Medina, my partner in crime.
I'm with the famous, one and only, DJ Bacardi.
Yes, sir. We in the building. We in the building.
Yes, we are happy to have you here. I have been excited about today's episode literally all week. I was telling my girlfriend last night, like, man, I can't wait for the episode for tomorrow because I'm excited about the guest.
Right.
We just have such a humble human coming in
That's
today.
right. Good dude.
Soft-spoken. You guys all probably know him. and if you don't, you will know him because he's probably going to be playing professional baseball soon.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? You ever played like
When I was young, yeah.
organized, like on a team or just like with your friends in the field?
Where I lived, I don't think we had any of that. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, same, bro. It was either a tennis ball with a broomstick.
Right. Or a stick in a ball.
Yeah.
They call it stick ball. Yeah.
Sometimes we didn't have a ball, we used rock.
That's
you
it.
know? But I also never played organized.
Said rock.
For real.
Just picture that, him with a stick and a rock.
I was broke.
Yes, sir.
You know what I'm
We
saying?
were broke. Yeah.
Yo, I also never played like organized
Right.
with umpires but you know, in a field somewhere,
Right.
everybody grabbed a glove if you had one.
Right.
If not, you know, you'd use your hat, take
Yeah,
off the hat, and that
true.
was a perfect
That's true.
glove. I also wasn't really that good.
Right.
Like I feel like I was always close to
Right,
hitting it
right.
far, like a home run status.
Right.
Never hit a home run, bro.
I think it has to be natural, man. I think it has to be natural. I think either you're born with it or it's passed on to you. So if no one's teaching you how to do it correctly, it's hard to learn on your own, man.
Yeah, you're right. You
Yeah.
know, you gotta be a natural,
Right.
or have some intense training.
That's
you know?
right.
This individual that I'm talking about, man, his name is Aaron Donna, and
Sounds like a professional baseball
for
already.
real, man, I
Already.
want his jersey already, yo.
Already. Sounds like
I
a
want his
professional.
jersey, but official dude, and he's been involved in the sport for a long time.
Right.
Actually, my last client that I just cut his hair, he was telling me, "Oh, I remember Aaron Donna." I was telling him he was today's guest, and he's like, "I remember Aaron. He was actually the bat boy when I was in school playing baseball, you know."
Crazy.
And so I'm gonna remind him about that today. You know,
yeah.
I guess he was singing some Lil Wayne song on the bus. I was trying to get the exact name of the song, but
Right.
he said he was around 7 years old when he was the bat boy. So
Oh, wow.
he's been around
Yeah, since he was
baseball
young. Wow.
since
Yeah.
he was young. He gets on a plane to practice and train.
Right.
He drives hours away to practice and train.
Wow.
Like his discipline
Dedication, bro.
and dedication.
Yeah.
What? And I think one of the things he said he's gonna touch up on today is where he puts himself mentally,
Right.
and how he does it.
Right.
And he mentioned like he's been getting real into like meditation.
Oh, wow.
And just imagine, like, he's a
Yeah.
pitcher, by the
Okay.
way. He's a pitcher.
Right.
Imagine you are the pitcher,
Right.
and everybody's like, "We're gonna go, strike 'em out."
Crazy.
How can you tune everybody out?
It's hard,
How can you
man.
not flop?
It's hard, especially when you're in the limelight. It's hard. It's hard.
It's hard. So how does he do it? You know, in the beginning, it had to have been real difficult to do that.
Yeah.
Did it get easier? How did it get easier? I'm pretty sure that he meditates before each game,
I'm
too.
sure, yeah.
Yeah. He mentioned something like that. My memory's a little... but we're gonna ask him that just to get the precise answer. But awesome individual, exhibits super hard work, dedication, does not give up. Professional MLB teams have already reached out to him. Yes, I'll name a few. He might name others.
Right.
The Texas Rangers reached out to him. Kansas City Royals, and he most recently came back from, I think he was like pitching for the Arizona Diamondbacks, just to like, they wanted to see him perform. They wanted to see him pitch, and he flew out there and he pitched for them.
Crazy.
That's a stage, bro.
That is.
That's a stage,
Bro, that's crazy. That's amazing. Just think
Yeah.
the rush he must get, the adrenaline that to go through that and experience that.
Right, and he's put himself there, bro, through
Hard work, dedication.
seeing the people around him excel, seeing the people around him fail.
Right, of
Like
course.
give up because
Yeah.
some people
Don't make it.
They don't make it,
Yeah.
and they don't see their own potential. So
Yeah.
they say, you know, they move on to something else. This guy, we are rooting for him.
Absolutely.
I'm a fan, bro. I'm a fan. I want his jersey. I want his hat. And actually, he signed a jersey. He played a game,
for real?
bro. Yo, he played a game.
Okay.
He knows that my two youngest kids have autism. This
That's
dude,
great.
made me tear up, bro. He came here one day.
That's
and,
great.
Yo, I got something for you. What is it? Hold on, I'll be right back. Came out with it was like a case. It was clear so that you could see the jersey.
Right.
You hang it up.
Yeah, like a real sports jersey.
Like a real sports jersey,
yeah.
bro. The jersey he wore, signed with his picture and information and why they were playing this game. It's got the puzzle pieces for the autism awareness all over the jersey.
That's
He
great.
designed the jersey.
What?
He designed the jersey.
Oh, that's
they
great, man.
He picked his design as the design for the jersey. So his whole team wore the jersey.
Right.
And he did that for me, man. He brought that shit in for me, bro. Like, how awesome is that?
That's
and
great.
it just kind of like gives
Shows
an
what kind of
example.
person he is.
That's
too.
what I was gonna say, man.
Shows a lot of character, man.
Shows a lot of character.
Just imagine when he comes famous, that jersey's gonna be worth a lot of money.
And you know what? I ain't
Even though it's
getting
not
rid
about
of
the
it.
money. Yeah, it's not about the money, but
I'll hold
it's
it
gonna have
forever,
value.
Aaron.
Yeah, it's gonna be priceless.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I think he already got like a baseball card. We got business cards.
Dude,
You could
this
find
dude got
out
a baseball
He got
card.
an actual upper deck baseball card.
Can I get
yo.
a DJ card?
Yo, can I make it a DJ card?
Like what the hell?
For
That's
real,
dope.
that's
dope.
official,
That's
you know.
dope.
So
That's-
super excited to have him here. We're gonna get into like what kind of support system does it take to get as far as he's gotten.
Right.
What is next for him, and is there anything outside of football? Anything like a plan B?
Out of baseball, you mean, right?
Yeah,
Just
out of baseball.
Yeah.
I said football.
Yeah, it's
Damn,
all
my
good.
bad.
Don't worry about it. Because he got the Bills
Baseball.
on, that's why. Bills fan. Yankees fan.
Yeah, man. We got some questions. Man.
Absolutely. It's gonna be a great show. It's gonna
Heck
be a
yeah.
great show.
He'll be here shortly.
Yes, sir. Stay tuned.
We got him. I told you he was coming.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I told you he was
He just
coming.
magically appeared. I don't know. This guy's great. Like he's like a magician. I don't know. Besides baseball, he's a magician as well. 'Cause
Yo,
he just popped up here on the couch. I
I
don't know how
told
he
you
did it.
he was coming, bro. We
guy's
got
great.
the one and only Aaron Donna in the house. Yeah.
Welcome.
Oh man, I was telling Bacardi how excited I was for today's episode. I was pumped, bro. So first and foremost, thank you for joining us today, man. For real.
Pleasure to have you here, man.
You guys for having me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no. It's our pleasure, man. And this podcast is geared towards everything positive,
Right.
inspirational, anything motivational. And I mean, you are a perfect candidate to be here today because of all you exhibit: hard work, dedication, your determination, your willingness to keep going when you may want to give up, the obstacles that are presented to you in front of you, the door that closes in your face sometimes but you still keep going, and the positive attitude that you always have is so contagious. That's why I love cutting your hair, because we don't even be listening to music sometimes, right? We just be kicking it. Yeah, so
Chatting it up.
Yeah. So let the world know. First of all, we already know who you are, but let the world know who you are.
My name is Aaron Donna, Gloversville, New York native, graduated from Gloversville High in 2018.
Yeah.
Continued my academic career and baseball career at St. Thomas Aquinas College. With COVID and all that stuff, I took my extra year, so I graduated last year. Had the opportunity to play professional baseball last season, still chasing that dream, and here we are today.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. And you're a pitcher.
Yes,
right?
right-handed pitcher. Yeah.
Right-handed pitcher. How long have you been in the baseball scene, and then when did you say, I want to be a pitcher?
So that's kind of funny that you asked that, because growing up, I used to go down to the Little League right down the road with my dad. Shout out my dad and my mom. They're my biggest supporters.
Yo,
that's
they the
great.
best, too.
That's
I
great.
love them.
I wouldn't be able to do what I do without them
Heck yeah.
along the way, and have accomplished everything I accomplished.
It's beautiful.
But we would go right down the road to the Little League Park, and my dad would go down there every Sunday. My mom and dad would mow all the lawns to the field, and my dad would pitch me buckets and buckets of baseball. And I loved hitting, and then I got to high school, and I kind of had to make that decision, like, hey, am I going to pursue playing shortstop and hitting, or am I going to pursue being a right-handed pitcher and going out and pitching? And surprisingly, I mean, if you knew me in high school, I was a pretty good player. I got first team Foothills shortstop and pitcher my senior year. For whatever reason, I was always a little nervous in the batter's box.
Okay.
I always had the nerves in the batter's box, and you could ask anybody, I was a pretty good hitter. I wasn't going to hit the ball 450 feet, but
Yeah.
I was always contact hitter.
Yeah,
good
you're getting
hitter.
on base. You're getting
Exactly,
your runners
exactly.
home.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
So then, I kept developing and growing. I was always always on the smaller side, you know what I mean? So any place I went, I had to work a lot harder than everybody else there, because a lot of times growing up, people were just bigger than me physically, and you know, I may not have been the fastest, the strongest, but I was going to be the first one to show up and the last one to leave.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I said to my dad, when I think it was going into junior year, I said, you know, I think I want to pursue pitching. Like, I want to be pitching. When I get out on the mound, I kind of have that locked in focus. It's just me and the batter, you know. So it's kind of like, almost the best way I could describe it is being in a boxing match, right? That bell rings, it's you versus the other guy. Everything you've prepared for and stuff like that, you got to trust it. And, you know, you can have your coaches in your corner, which the coaches are in the dugout, but at the end of the day, you step in the box 60 feet, 6 inches away from me, it's me versus you, and it's time to go to war.
Yeah.
That's a great mindset.
Yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
That's
So
great.
what's something that you might do mentally to prepare for that? Because we were just talking about it, and that's a big stage.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got all eyes on you.
Pressure.
And everybody sees your name on the back of your jersey. They screaming it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So how is that you can maintain that focused mindset and not mess up? Because I mean, naturally I would get nervous. You know what I mean? And the ball would go somewhere else. So
Yeah. So I mean, I'm huge on your preparation leads to confidence. You know what I mean? So as you work, there's not people there all the time when you're working out, throwing, putting in kind of all the nitty gritty stuff. And that's why, you know, when you have all these accomplishments, you don't just have them and they're not just given to you. You have to work for them. But a lot of the stuff is kind of behind the scenes. So in high school, obviously, there's not too many people that go to the games and stuff like that. So, you know, college started being more people that go to the games. And then where it was kind of an eye-opener to me is when I started playing summer ball. So every summer I played somewhere across the country. My freshman summer, I played in the Perfect Game League in Albany. Or sophomore summer, after my sophomore season, I played in the Coastal Plains League in North Carolina. Next summer, I was in Worcester Bravehearts. That's the jersey you got over there on the wall.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that jersey.
The summer after that, I played up in Vermont. So, you know, there's a lot of people that go to the games because where the positioning is of the stadiums, and no different than around here, Amsterdam, small city, upstate New York, but all these players from these huge schools are going there, and a lot of the people from the area flock to see that because they're very good players.
Yeah.
So kind of going to small cities, but the crowds are bigger. You know what I mean? So freshman year, I got to college, and I wouldn't say I struggled a little bit, but it was kind of like an eye-opener a little bit. You know,
You saw that there was competition there.
Exactly. So as I got there was 40 other guys on my team that could do what Aaron Donna does.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So it was kind of like, I was like, okay, you know, I was a big fish in a small pond coming out of high school. I get to college, like, I'm with all these guys, like, that are very good and have experience, all that kind of stuff. What am I going to do to separate myself?
Yeah.
I get to college my freshman year. I was out working everybody in the weight room and all that kind of stuff. Sprints, I don't care if it was the first sprint or the 50th sprint. Nobody was beating me. I don't care if we were going 70% on the sprints. Like, I was winning the sprints. No matter
That's
what.
what's up.
That happened. I went out in my first start in the spring, strained my oblique. So I was out the majority of the season. I probably could have redshirted that year. Didn't end up redshirting, but then it was kind of like, all right, you know, I got my first taste of college ball. I'm going into summer ball. What am I going to do? So I got to summer ball. I tore it up that summer. So then went back for the season, and this is when COVID kind of started to transpire. We were down in North Carolina. I started having a good season. Season got canceled. So then I went over to Hayner's Sports Barn over in Clifton Park. Worked with this guy, Mike McFerrin. When he left Hayner's, he was the pitching lab coordinator at Wake Forest, and then he now currently is the head of player development, I believe. I could have the title wrong, but for the Oakland Athletics.
Oh, wow.
So I worked with him over there, and obviously he was very, very brilliant as far as mechanics goes, getting me in the right positions, all that types of stuff. But, you know, where I took my next step was he unlocked the mental aspect of the game. You know, he's a super smart guy, talked about, you know, getting in your flow state and stuff like that. So when you're playing a sport, everybody has something that's going on in their life outside of their sport.
Right.
But when you're playing the sport, you know, nothing else matters except the task at hand. Like, you're in that competitive state. You're focused on winning the game, winning the at-bat, winning each pitch, each inning, all that type of stuff. He got me into meditation. And before, if you told me 5 years before that, like, hey, in 5 years, you're going to be like into meditation and all that stuff, I probably would have laughed at you.
Yeah.
All this. So he got me into that, and you know, I started to realize that, wow, like this is crazy. Started reading books about self-development, all this kind of stuff. Like, you know, I knew that I had the physical attributes and they were starting to come together, but to where I could unlock that potential mentally. Because obviously when you get to a certain point in time, everybody's big. Everyone can throw 90 plus miles an hour. Everyone can hit the ball at the ballpark, but you have to have something that separates you from the rest of the field in order to stand out. So started doing meditation and all this. I remember I went back to school in the spring and I started meditating in the dugout before my start. So I wanted to get myself in that flow state even before I go out, start doing my warm-ups, any of that kind of stuff. So I remember the first time I sat down in the dugout, I start my routine. I have a very strict routine when I start. I start an hour and a half before, and I would meditate for the first 15 minutes of it. I would do a guided meditation through Tony Robbins. It's great on YouTube. I'd have my headphones in, sitting in the dugout. I remember my teammates were like, what the hell is Donna doing right now? Like, he's just sitting over there. He's like, got his eyes closed. Like what's going on right now? I went out, pitched the first game or whatever. Second game of the season, I remember we're playing, or actually this was last year, but we're playing Westchester, who is in Pennsylvania. They were 6th in the nation at the time.
Wow.
So I remember we're at Baseball USA down in North Carolina. Everyone's out in the outfield stretching. I'm sitting in there like some Buddha guy, you know, just meditating. And I guess before the game, the coach told our coach, like, hey, we're in for like a long day. Cause I don't know what this guy's doing over here.
We got Mr. Miyagi over here,
like
waiting to throw that ball, yo.
Like, this guy's crazy. He's sitting in the dugout meditating. Like, we don't, like, who knows what we're going to get. So I went out that game. I gave up 1 or 2 hits, struck out 15, and threw like 7 innings or something like that. And
hit him with a round of applause, huh?
Wow.
Yeah. That's fire. That's fire.
But I had a full year of getting in that state, doing different meditative exercises. You know, it's not about going in and doing the same thing every time.
Right.
You know, doing meditation exercises to feel parts of your body. Pitching has huge attributes associated with your feel, your body, how your body's moving. Because you break down a pitcher, you could go right on YouTube and put one in slow-mo, like a high-level pitcher.
Right.
Their body's in messed up positions when they throw.
That arm is way too far back. I can't even do that like this.
Yeah. So their arm is almost parallel to the ground when they're getting ready to throw. So it's important not to just train your body, but also your mind when you know, you're getting higher up into sports and stuff like that.
So that's one thing that you've recently added to your repertoire, to your routine, and you sent me a video of that, right? I think you sent me a link.
I sent you the Tony Robbins one. The guided meditation.
Yeah, he's a good motivational speaker.
He is.
I've seen a few of his videos.
We'll include that link so you guys could peep it too. He sent me the link, and it's freaking awesome. He had me thinking about, yo, babe, come on, it's time. We gotta meditate. You know, I'm going home like, come on. And you know, he's right though.
Yeah, absolutely. It does.
A few people have told me, man, like meditation is like they start every day with the meditation, or they might end it with meditation. One of my other buddies is real big into it as well. He sent me a link. So you ever did like a float tank?
I haven't, but I remember. I think a couple of weeks ago you were talking to me about that.
Yeah, and that's like, I guess that's the closest time to I've ever meditated. I was in a float tank, and I wanted to like get creative. That's why I went to it, and I just wanted nothing else around me, darkness and just relaxation, and I wanted to let my mind wander. And I bet you, had I watched that link that he sent me before I went there, I would have had a better journey.
Absolutely.
It was cool though. It was
right,
cool. You should try that one day. Meditating while you're doing that at the same time.
Wow.
I went like this is how you do it. Like, how is it? And it's like there's no rules. It's whatever, right?
Exactly. It's, you know, it's whatever up to you. And a big reason why I like it too is because I'm huge on positivity. You know, there's a lot of negativity in life, not even just around athletes in the sports world, but every day. You turn the news on, they don't have anything on the news that, you know, here's a great positive thing that happens. And if they do, it's like, hey, here's one little positive thing, and then here's 15 other negative things that happened. And, you know, I feel like that's a big problem. So I try to spread positivity, not just through the game of baseball, but just through life.
And that's why we have you on the show.
Because
this
dude,
show's about positivity.
yo, he's mad. I'm telling you, he's so positive. I'll be wanting to follow him out the door. Like, can I cut your hair one more time? Yo,
Can I come home with you, please?
yo.
No, but that's
Oh,
great. That's a
man.
great thing.
You mentioned the Bravehearts. My man brought me in a jersey from a game that he played in. Can you touch on that real quick?
Yeah, so our team name was the Worcester Bravehearts. So they partner with the Autism Association, and every year they have someone customize a jersey. So they have printout of papers, and you could go right online, print it out, and put a design as to what you think like a cool jersey would look like or whatever. So my dad is super artistic, so I didn't even know he was doing this, and he had like designed it and sent it in. So the symbolism for autism is the puzzle pieces. So the jersey over there, as you could see, it's hearts, and inside the hearts are the puzzle pieces. So he designed the jersey, and then he got a phone call from the GM of the team one day and was like, hey, you got to come here on this date because you're throwing out the first pitch and you won the jersey contest. Like the people from the association picked your jersey.
Wow.
They set it up that day I was starting pitching, so I went out and caught the first pitch, and then I started pitching that day.
That's
so
official right
that's
there.
great.
it was a good time, and it's a cool memory, especially to share a memory like that with someone like my dad, who's been there across
Freaking
the
awesome.
whole journey and
Heck
all
yeah.
that stuff. So it was definitely a special moment for sure.
Wow. And then what made you like say I wanna hook Michael up with this? Where'd that come from?
So you said one of your sons has autism,
Right.
correct?
Yeah. Actually, my two youngest ones. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, being from around here and stuff like this, you do a lot in the community.
Thank you.
Throughout the community and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So, and I mean, you've been cutting my hair when I'm home anyway for, I don't know, since I think you opened down here.
Yeah.
So I work part-time up at Transitions, which is a branch of Lexington and stuff like that, and my mom works out there. So it was kind of a collective thought. We were like, my mom said, I think it was my mom that brought it up. She was like, how about we give one of the jerseys to Mike? I was like, no, that would be like a great idea, especially that, I know there's a lot of people in the city that come in and out of here, and you're like the dude around here that cuts hair.
That's what's up.
So everyone's coming in and out of here. So I'm like, to have something like that down there, like I think it would be special to Mike, but it would also be special to me to have something to show that, symbolizes where I came from.
Oh, dude, it totally touched my heart, man. It touched my girlfriend's heart.
Yeah.
I told her as soon as, I showed her, we were FaceTime. I'm like, yo, look what this dude brought me, bro. And we're going to show you a snippet of it.
Yeah, you're definitely going to see it. You're definitely going to see it.
Yeah, after the episode. Yep. Thank you so much for that, man, because that's just a small gesture of what kind of a human you are, bro. And that's what I mean. That's why I'll be following out the shop. Like, yo, where you going, though?
That's great,
I'm
man.
done, Mike. My haircut's done.
Yeah, and I'm sure it stems from your parents. 'Cause
Yeah, for sure.
You absorb that from your parents, and I think that's a great thing.
They awesome people, bro. I remember one time, I don't know if you remember this, but this was many years ago. He had I think you just got a car. It was like a Sentra?
Yeah, I think it was my first car was a Sentra.
Yeah. I think I might have said I was hungry. He said something about, I just had chicken pot pie. He left. Yo, bro, they came back with you remember that?
Yeah, my mom, we had leftover ones, so my mom.
They said, yo, bring them. And it was banging.
great.
Shout out, Roddy. Appreciate you.
That's great.
Yeah, yo. And that's just like an example of what kind of individuals we're working with here.
Right.
What are your hobbies outside of baseball? What do you like when you're not training and locked in baseball? What are you doing?
To be honest, I don't have too much else that I do.
He's like my spoon has a baseball bat attached to it.
I don't know. There was an interview with, Shohei Ohtani, signed with the Dodgers, just got paid like a boatload of money.
Yes.
Almost $1 billion.
Yeah. So he said, he was like, I don't really have any other friends other than my family. He was like, I just care about baseball. Like, that's what I do. So when you get to playing at a high level and stuff like that, and especially for me, I throughout college and all that, drive an hour each way to work out and throw. So obviously that takes up 2 hours of the day and all that stuff. And then through the time I'm down there, I'm probably down there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, doing everything that I need to do, depending on the day as well. It's when you become obsessed with something, it's not viewed as a job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So over the summer, when I'm receiving a paycheck to play, I'm not viewing, oh man, I got to go to work today. It's like,
Like,
hey,
they paid me to do this?
Yeah, it's
that's
like,
cool.
We love,
even though, we're not getting paid like the big
Right.
leaguers
Right.
and getting paid millions of dollars and stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of people that don't get the opportunity to play at that next level. I think
Yeah.
even it's less than 1% of the people
wow.
that end up making it to
Yeah.
play professionally
Yeah.
in any sport, regardless
Right.
whether it's baseball, football, basketball, whatever. So, you know, I don't really have too much that I do outside of playing baseball. You know, I'm always trying to find ways that I can get better too. So, you know,
Freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I
My
might
boy's
be
locked
Yes, sir.
in, bro.
I might be like scrolling through Instagram or something and come upon a drill and be like, oh, like maybe like I could incorporate that and that could help me out a little bit or stuff like that. And
Yeah.
you know, I'm always trying to learn from other people too. And especially when we're in season, we don't have time to do anything else.
Yeah.
It's baseball, baseball, baseball.
Wow.
Who's your biggest inspiration? I know that's such a difficult question
right.
to ask, but
Right.
even if you can't come up with the biggest, who's
Someone who inspired you.
yeah, like super inspiring. And I know that your mom and dad are superheroes to
Right.
you in your life, you know. And is there anyone else that you were like, you know, I look up to that. I wanna do something like that.
Yeah. Obviously, my mom and dad are my role models.
Number one, yes.
Yes, sir.
But I would say throughout the course of my life, I had a special connection with my grandpa growing up, and
Aw.
he's now passed away.
R.I.P.
Rest in
Grandpa.
peace.
So it's my dad's dad, and he lived with us a little bit towards the later end of his life and stuff like that. And you know, I was only I think 12 or 13 when he passed away, so I was relatively young. But you know, I had this vision of being a professional baseball player ever since I was real little.
Wow.
So I, you know, would always like express it. Like I remember me and my dad would go down to the spring training games in Florida. My camera roll would be filled with a bunch of videos of the pitcher that day. I would zoom right in on the pitcher and record it, and zoom right in on the hitter, record it, and then break it down frame by frame what he's doing through every frame of his at bat or every pitch and stuff like that. And like I said, growing up, I wasn't the biggest kid. I wasn't the fastest kid. I wasn't the strongest kid.
Right.
And I always like dreamed of hitting a home run growing up. So actually, cool story about this. My grandpa, he was at the hospital. Unfortunately, it was the day that he passed away, but I would always say to him, like, I called him Pop. So I would say, Pop, like, you know, I'm going to get one out one day. And he's like, you got it. You just got to get like the perfect swing. Like it'll come one day. I promise. So the day that he passed away, I had a game. I believe it was in Scotia, and we went to the hospital after. And I was so excited to go to he wasn't very good towards the end.
Yeah.
I believe he was like unresponsive like the last couple days, but he could still hear what was going on and stuff like that. So I remember we get to the hospital, and I hit my first home run that day.
Wow.
And I was like, let's go, blah, blah, blah. So then it was, it's sad, but we all kind of got there. Me, my mom, my dad, my sister, my aunt, and he ended up passing that day. And then my senior year of high school, I had never hit any home runs in high school.
Dude.
or anything.
Wow.
We go down to Myrtle Beach, first game of the season. So I'm warming up in the on-deck circle because in high school I led off. Like I said, I wasn't a guy that was going to put the ball over the fence,
Right.
but I was going to get on base. So remember, I led off the game. I'm swinging in the on-deck circle, and my mom comes up to the fence right next to the dugout, and she says, hey, Aaron. And I turned around and I was like, what? And she was like, there was a older gentleman in a wheelchair right there. And she said, this older gentleman right here played with Pop Joe back in the day. And, you know, he knew Pop Joe growing up and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, like, it's very nice to meet you and blah, blah, blah. So I go up for my first at bat of the game. Kid hangs a curveball, turn on it, gone. I round third base. I touch home. The guy's gone. It was like
What?
something out of a movie. It was crazy.
Real life field of dreams, bro.
Yo.
That's crazy.
That's
So no,
official.
I
my
would
God.
definitely say my grandpa is my biggest inspiration. I know
That's
he's
amazing.
still
Yes.
looking over me. He definitely has a special place
Heck yeah,
in my
that's
heart.
very
He
touching, man.
he was probably definitely like the first ones that, you know, believed in anything that I could do. He definitely was a little out there, but he
We're all a little out there.
but he, you know, he believed in me ever since the jump, and I knew if he was alive right now, he would be super proud.
Oh
of me.
my God,
So
heck yeah, bro.
Man, we got to give that a round of
Yes,
applause. I'm sorry.
yes.
That story was amazing,
Oh my
man.
God, yo,
That
Grandpa,
story was amazing, man.
Pop, man.
Yeah. R.I.P.
Official,
Pop, man.
official, man.
Yes, sir.
R.I.P. Pop, man.
Yes, sir.
And once again, man, shout out to your parents
Yeah.
for always believing in you and supporting you
Yes.
and not having a limit to how far they would go
Right.
to see you live out your dreams. What is the team that you play for now. What was it called?
So I play for the New York Boulders. They're in the Frontier League. I believe it was 2020-ish. COVID happened. They knocked the draft down from 40 rounds to 20 rounds. And then MLB partnered with like a handful of indie ball leagues, because indie ball used to kind of just be like, guys at the tail end of their career, or, guys that didn't really like want to give up the game yet that were good enough to keep playing. But now there's some dudes there. Like, there's dudes last year that are in AAA organizations at the beginning of the season getting cut. All of a sudden, I'm facing them,
right?
And all this kind of stuff. So it's definitely, indie ball isn't what it used to be or what it used to be perceived to be. There's some dudes there that can play for sure.
Wow.
Now, I was telling Bacardi before you got here, there's been a couple teams that you've been in contact with, like,
that was interested in you, right?
Even like early on in your, like, I'm talking about like fresh out of high school, right? Like,
Yeah.
Are you allowed to touch on that?
Yeah.
All right.
In high school, my travel ball coach was the assistant regional scout for the Texas Rangers, but that's back when the draft was 40 rounds. So there's a lot more leeway with stuff. They would take a chance on a guy and be like, hey, well, if he doesn't pan out, I don't have too much money invested into him. And I try to describe to everybody, because a lot of people don't understand it, but when you get to a certain level that I'm at now, baseball is a business. So, for example, I know you got a Bills hat on, but if you're the Buffalo Bills and, you got Josh Allen as your quarterback, you're not going to go out and draft a quarterback or, go out recruiting and sign a free agent quarterback, because you got a guy that, is doing the job well now. You don't need a replacement, right? So different times when there's been scouts at my games and stuff like that, I get a little discouraged if I don't necessarily hear anything, but they could be there watching a corner outfielder. Meanwhile, I'm on the mound. Yeah, it might maybe put me on the radar for future considerations, but they're not looking for someone like a pitcher or something like that at that point in time. So it's tough. So that happened. I actually just got back a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I flew out to Arizona and worked out for the Arizona Diamondbacks.
Wow.
Fire.
That went okay. It's just tough throwing indoors up here, freezing outside.
Right.
Or the Northeast is just brutal as far as that
Weather,
goes, because I'm not gonna go outside and throw in the snow.
Right.
Everything's tight. I mean, I've done some crazy stuff. I've been outside throwing in the pouring rain and stuff like that if I need to get my work in. But every day consistently to go out and do that, it's just not attainable. Especially, I know this winter wasn't too bad, but when there's
still cold,
foot to 2 foot of snow on the
Yeah.
ground, so it's tough to go out there and compete at a mid-season level. But you got invited out there for a reason, so they know that you're a good ball player. What they're looking for exactly, I'm not too sure, because that's like the way it works too, is like they're not gonna like kind of hire you or offer you a contract. You just don't get spoken to, which is crazy. And another crazy thing of how it works is like, you can talk to a couple different teams. Like, say I'm talking to a few teams, and then all of a sudden a team that I wasn't even talking to could come out of left field, call you and be like, hey, we're signing you. You need to report here by Wednesday. And then that's what you do. But, at the end of the day, like baseball, when you get to a certain level, it's a business.
Right.
No different than big league guys when they sign these contracts. If they're offered a $30 million contract in California versus a $30 million contract in Florida, most likely they're going to take the one in Florida for the sole reason of there's no income tax in Florida, and they're going to be getting paid more money going to Florida. There's a lot of different factors that kind of go into it. I mean, agencies, there's a ton of rules and regulations associated with it. So it's definitely one of the crazier sports.
Yeah, now I have a question. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, and what advice would you give to a young kid who wants to grow up to be a ball player, who wants to be in the same position, to be that superstar ball player, or just wants to follow his dreams in baseball?
Yeah, so, in 5 years, hopefully, I'm still playing baseball.
Right.
If I am still playing baseball, I would assume I would be with an affiliate team to try to work my way up, because, you can only play baseball for so long until, you need to have the talk with yourself that, hey, I'm still good enough to play here, but with the paychecks that we're getting, that's not attainable to support the rest of my life to, grow up, have a house one day, have a car payment and all that stuff.
Right.
And plus, you're only getting paid not even the full time of the year. So, like, when I'm home in the off season, like, I need to have a part-time job in order to,
survive.
just have money and stuff like that. But so hopefully I'm still playing baseball. If I'm not playing baseball, I think I'll be okay.
Right.
I've always figured it out. I have my bachelor's degree in finance and economics, and I have my master's degree with a concentration in healthcare management and informatics. So that's something my parents always preach too is, they call it student athlete for a reason because you're a student first and an athlete second.
Absolutely.
So that's something that I've always put importance into throughout my life too. Academics always came first, and even though I was going to work hard, I wasn't going outside to work until my homework was done, or I needed to get done what needed to be done.
Right.
That's official.
Yes.
Discipline.
So advice I would give is, excuse my language. I don't know.
No, you're good. You're good.
Fuck other people's personal opinions when it comes to stuff. Everybody's going to have their opinion on stuff. There's been plenty of people that told me like, I don't know if he's good enough, or I don't know if he's going to make it. Like that doesn't matter.
Right.
That's not even just for baseball. That's in anything you want to attain in your life. I truly believe if you set out goals to attain something and you put your mind to it, you can attain it.
Wow.
And, there's a lot of different people throughout society that aren't in the same positions. Like, I'm blessed. I've grown up in a environment where I've been able to do different things, travel different places and stuff like that. Right. But, there's some people that don't have that much in whatever. If you look at, I have never been to the Dominican Republic, but I've played with a lot of people from there. And if you talk to them about their journeys and stuff like that, they're playing in the road with a stick and a bottle cap. And you wonder why they're hitting the heck out of the ball, because if they can hit a bottle cap that's this big and a baseball's this big, that thing's going to be looking like a beach ball.
Right.
So, or Mariano Rivera, you can look this up too. He used to cut out a piece of cardboard a little bit bigger than his hand and cut a little hole into it. He used to put his hand into it, punch it down like this, and it was like a handmade glove out of cardboard.
Wow.
And that's what he used to do growing up, so he could play the game that he loved. So, if you truly have a passion for something, my recommendation would be go get it, go do it. And, only thing with that being is you need to have consistency. You can't wake up one day and, say, hey, I want it, and then wake up the next day and be like, I want to go hang out with my friends today. Like, I don't know if I want it. You need to have, not saying that, you need to be on a strict, I wake up, I play baseball nonstop, nothing, do nothing else. But, you need to have that consistency where, you're working on something and trying to grow and constantly get better. And you're going to make mistakes along the way. I give lessons over at Upper Deck Sports Center in Amsterdam. And I tell all the kids, I say, listen, I want you to come in here and mess up. I said, you wouldn't be paying me to come in to get a lesson if you weren't trying to work on stuff. If you came in and I said to you, hey, everything you're doing looks great, your parents probably aren't coming back to me because you don't have anything else to fix. But I said, I'm a professional athlete. I have stuff every single day that I'm trying to work on. And what you're working on this week may not be the same as what you're working on next week. So, and that, like I said, that's not even just in baseball. That's just in life in general. There's, trying to work on different aspects in your life to grow and be the best that you possibly can. I've always believed in the quote that you're only as strong as your weakest link. So like I'm only as strong as my weakest characteristic. So if I can build on those types of weaknesses, then even if I'm at my lowest on that day, I can be better than other people at their highest. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So told you.
Great mindset, man. Great mindset. That's awesome advice, guys. That's awesome.
That's why I needed him to come on.
Absolutely.
And by the way, guys, it wasn't like too easy to get him here. My man is busy. He got flights to catch.
That's right.
He come back from one flight, got 1 week in town, and he
took time out of schedule to be here, so we appreciate it.
Yeah, man. For
we
real.
gotta give him a round of applause for
yes,
that. We gotta give him a round of applause.
Yes.
We got to.
Yo, Aaron, thank you so much.
There you go.
And my man give you a hell yeah from the back.
It's a pleasure meeting you, man.
Yo, man, this is awesome.
Keep an eye out for him, man. He's gonna be the one.
Episode 13.
Yes, sir.
It's a wrap.
Shop Talk.
Yes,
sir. See you on the next episode.
We got the one and only Aaron Donna, baby. Look out for him. Yes, sir.
Great guest.
Thank y'all. Peace. We'll see you for 14.
Peace.